Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're going to be talking about something that affects all of us,
Mm-hmm.
literally every day.
Yes.
And that is how modern life
Right.
is shaping our bodies.
Yeah,
And not always in a good way.
that's right.
Um,
It's true.
so to help us unpack all of this, we are going to be drawing on the work of Josephina Kucher.
Yes.
She is a kinesiologist who has some really interesting and insightful things to say about what she calls body architecture.
Mm-hmm.
We've got an interview with her, and we've also pulled some fascinating research.
Yeah,
And I think you guys are going to be surprised by some of the connections that we uncover today.
I think so too. And you know what's so fascinating about Josephina's approach is that she really encourages us to move away from just treating symptoms.
Right.
Like if we have a pain in our back, we take a painkiller or, we do a stretch, but we don't actually get down to the root cause of what's causing that.
Yeah,
And that's what she really tries to get us to look at.
totally. So, okay, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why your back aches after a day at the office, even if you work out regularly?
Yes.
Or why some people just seem to shrink as they get older?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And it's actually not just about age. It's more about
Right.
how we've unintentionally trained our bodies to be inefficient over time.
Right.
And that often starts with our feet.
Our feet, really?
Absolutely.
That-
Yeah, think about a baby's foot.
Okay.
It's wide, it's flexible, almost shaped like a kidney bean.
Yeah.
And that shape is there for a reason. It's for stability and balance.
I never thought about it like that. But it makes sense. When you think about babies,
Yeah.
they're just learning to walk. They need that stable base.
Exactly. And they also have this natural arch in their foot that acts like a spring,
Okay.
absorbing shock and helping them move efficiently. And the big toe is especially important for this.
Oh,
It acts like a thumb, almost gripping the ground with each step. So yeah, picture that perfect little baby foot, and now contrast that with the shoes
Yeah.
that most of us wear.
Yeah.
Narrow-pointed sometimes with heels.
totally. And you're saying that that's where the trouble starts.
Well, that's where we start to see some of the effects because we're essentially cramming our feet
Right.
into a shape that they weren't really designed for.
Mm-hmm.
The big toe loses its ability to stabilize the arch, weakens, and we become reliant on external support instead of our own natural strength.
So are you saying that our stylish shoes are actually sabotaging our posture?
Well, it's not about blaming shoes entirely,
Right.
but it is a really good example of how something seemingly small
Yeah.
can have this ripple effect throughout
Right.
the whole body.
Yeah.
When our feet are compromised, the rest of the structure has to compensate.
Wow. And Josephina actually uses a really interesting analogy to explain this.
Yes.
She compares the body to a company.
I love that analogy.
Yeah. And each muscle is like an employee with a specific job to do.
Yes.
And if one employee starts slacking off, others have to pick up the slack.
Right.
And that leads to inefficiency and eventually burnout.
Exactly.
So in the body company analogy, if our feet, which are like the foundation,
The base, yeah.
aren't doing their job properly,
Yeah,
other areas have to overwork.
exactly. And that takes us to the next level up in our body's architecture,
Okay.
which is the pelvis.
Okay, so tell me about the pelvis. What's its role in all of this?
Okay, so ideally your pelvis should be like a bowl holding your organs and providing a stable base for your spine.
Okay.
When it's in a neutral position, everything stacks up nicely and your muscles can work efficiently.
Okay, but I'm guessing that's not always the case.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
A lot of modern habits, especially sitting for long periods, cause the pelvis to tuck under.
Right.
And when that happens, it sets off this chain reaction.
It's like that body company analogy again. If the management level is out of whack,
Exactly.
the whole system suffers.
Well, the whole system suffers exactly. So then the spine starts to curve the shoulders round forward and the head juts out to compensate.
Right.
And that creates all this tension and pain
Wow.
in the back, neck, and shoulders.
So that nagging neck pain that you feel after a day at the computer might not just be stress.
Mm-hmm.
It could be your pelvis crying out for help.
It could be. Yeah, it's all connected.
Wow.
And what's even more interesting is that even if you have strong muscles,
Okay.
if your foundation, your feet and your pelvis are misaligned,
Yeah.
those muscles aren't going to be working efficiently.
It's like having a Ferrari engine in a beat-up old truck.
Yes, exactly.
You're not going to get optimal performance.
You're not going to get optimal performance. And this brings us to another really important point, which is that the consequences of poor posture go way beyond just musculoskeletal issues.
Okay.
They can affect your entire system.
Really?
your circulation, your breathing, even your digestion.
Wait, so my posture can affect things like digestion.
Yeah.
That's wild. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when your pelvis is tucked under, it kind of compresses your abdomen,
Okay.
and that puts pressure on your digestive organs,
Right.
which can slow things down and potentially contribute to things like constipation.
Okay, so it's almost like if you're squeezing a tube of toothpaste
Yes.
from the middle,
Exactly.
it's not going to flow very well.
It's not going to flow very well.
Okay, got it. And what about the lymphatic system?
Yes.
How does that play into all of this?
So the lymphatic system is really crucial for our immunity and for detoxification.
Okay.
And it relies on movement and muscle contractions to help circulate that lymph fluid throughout the body.
So if we're sitting all day long,
Mm-hmm.
our lymphatic system is not really getting the exercise that it needs.
Yeah, it's not getting the movement that it needs to function optimally.
Okay.
You can almost imagine your lymphatic system like a network of highways.
Okay.
And if there's not enough traffic flow,
Right.
things start to back up, you get congestion. And that can impact our body's ability to fight off infections and to eliminate waste products efficiently.
Wow. I never realized posture could have such far-reaching effects.
It's amazing, isn't it?
So it's not just about aches and pains.
Yeah,
It's really about our overall health and well-being.
exactly. And this is where that mind-body connection comes in.
Oh.
Josephina talks a lot about how posture and emotions are so intertwined.
Right. And you mentioned that power pose research earlier.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, so studies have shown that simply holding an expansive posture,
Okay.
like think chest open, shoulders back, even for just a few minutes,
Wow.
can actually change your hormone levels. It increases testosterone, which is associated with confidence and assertiveness, and it decreases cortisol, which is the stress hormone.
So you're saying that it's not just about, like, looking confident.
Yeah.
It's about actually feeling more confident.
It can actually make you feel more confident.
That's incredible.
It's really powerful.
Yeah. I've definitely noticed that when I'm feeling down or kind of sad,
Yeah.
I tend to slouch more.
Right.
Maybe I should try to be a little bit more mindful about my posture and see if it makes a difference.
It's definitely worth trying. Even small adjustments can have a big impact.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of adjustments, I want to talk about barefoot shoes.
Yes.
They've become pretty popular lately.
Yeah.
And I've heard some people say that they're kind of the answer to all of our posture problems.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that?
Well, I think barefoot shoes are definitely a step in the right direction.
Okay.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
They allow your feet to move more naturally
Right.
and engage those important muscles that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're a magic bullet.
So they're not going to magically fix everything.
No, not necessarily, because Josephina points out that modern environments,
Okay.
like, flat sidewalks, smooth floors,
Right.
they don't provide the varied terrain
Yeah.
that our feet evolved to navigate. So even with barefoot shoes, we're not getting the full range of motion
Right.
and sensory feedback that our feet really need to thrive.
So what can we do to give our feet that stimulation that they need?
Well, Josephina recommends spending time barefoot
Right.
on uneven surfaces,
Got it.
like grass or sand or even trails.
Okay.
This helps to strengthen the muscles and the ligaments in your feet,
Okay.
and it improves your balance and your proprioception.
Proprioception, what is that?
Proprioception, it's basically your body's awareness of where it is in space.
Oh, okay. So it's like taking your feet to the gym.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like giving your feet a workout.
Awesome. So even if we're not ready to, like, ditch our shoes completely,
Mm-hmm.
we can still do things to kind of strengthen and awaken our feet.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's all about being mindful
Okay.
of those small choices that we make throughout the day
Yeah.
and finding opportunities to move in ways that support our body's natural design.
And Josephina also talks about turning everyday activities into mini workouts.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples of what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite examples is squatting instead of bending over to pick things up.
Okay, so instead of, like, bending at the waist to pick up a toy or a laundry basket.
Exactly. Yeah. By squatting, you're engaging your glutes and your hamstrings,
Okay,
which are those powerhouse muscles that help to support your back and your pelvis.
right. It's like getting a little workout in
Yeah,
without even trying.
exactly. And when you're walking, think about pushing off with your glutes
Okay,
instead of just kind of shuffling along.
got it.
It's not about speed.
Right.
It's about using those powerful muscles to propel yourself forward.
So it's just about being more mindful about how we move even in those small everyday moments.
Exactly. And this actually goes back to Josefina's body company analogy.
Why?
Instead of relying on just a few overworked employees, like, those tight hip flexors and those overactive back muscles,
Right.
we're engaging the whole team,
I love that.
making sure everyone is contributing and working efficiently.
Yes, that's a great way to sum it up.
Yeah, so it's really about working with our bodies, not against them,
Hmm.
and creating a sustainable system that supports our overall health and well-being.
Awesome. So it's not really about striving for perfect posture all the time.
Right.
It's more about understanding how our bodies work
Yes,
and making choices that help us move with more ease and efficiency.
exactly. It's a journey, not a destination.
So what does all of this mean for our listeners?
Okay.
What are some key takeaways that they can start applying to their own lives today?
Okay, well, first and foremost, I think it's about awareness. Pay attention to how you're sitting, how you're standing, how you're moving throughout the day.
Okay.
Are you slouching? Are your shoulders rounded forward? Are your feet crammed into tight shoes? Just start to notice those things.
Right, and then start to think about those small changes that you can make,
Yeah,
those little mini workouts that you can incorporate into your routine.
exactly. Try squatting instead of bending. Engage your glutes when you walk. Take a few minutes to stretch and move your feet.
Right.
It's all about those little things done consistently
Yeah,
that can make a big difference over time.
absolutely. And remember that mind-body connection
Yeah.
that we talked about.
Yes.
Um, how you're holding your body can actually affect how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeling stressed or down, try adjusting your posture. You might be surprised how much of an impact it can have.
Absolutely. And it's also about listening to your body, respecting its incredible design,
Right.
and giving it the support it needs to thrive.
I love that this has been an incredibly enlightening deep dive.
It has.
It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as posture can have such a profound impact on our health and well-being.
It really is. And the best part is we have the power to change it.
Right.
By understanding these principles, we can make choices that support our bodies, not sabotage them.
Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on one more fascinating point that came up in our research.
Okay.
It's this idea of area neglect.
Oh, yes. That's a really interesting one.
Yeah, so can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So it's basically the idea that our brains can actually start to ignore parts of our body
Well,
that we're not using properly.
really?
Yeah. So if we're constantly slouching
Okay.
and not engaging certain muscles,
Right.
our brain is kind of like, well, I guess we don't need those anymore.
So it's almost like those muscles are getting laid off
Yes.
from the body company
Exactly.
because their department isn't performing.
Your department's not performing.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And it highlights the importance of conscious movement and bringing awareness to those neglected areas.
Okay.
It's about retraining our brains to recognize and utilize all the amazing parts of our body.
So even if we've been slouching for years,
Mm-hmm.
we can still teach our brains and our bodies to move differently.
Absolutely. Yeah, our brains are incredibly plastic,
Okay.
meaning that they can change and adapt throughout our lives. So it's never too late to start incorporating new movement patterns and reclaiming control of our bodies.
And that brings us back to those mini workouts that we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
By incorporating those squats, those lunges, those foot exercises into our routine,
Hmm.
we're not just strengthening our muscles, we're also retraining our brains to pay attention to those areas
Yeah.
and use them effectively.
Exactly. It's like sending a message to our brain, hey, these muscles are important. We need them to function optimally.
Awesome. So I guess as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with kind of a final thought-provoking question to ponder.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
If our bodies are constantly adapting to our environment and our habits,
Hmm.
what message are you sending yours?
That's a great question to think about. Are we reinforcing patterns of slouching and compression?
Right.
Or are we actively cultivating strength and alignment and ease?
Yeah,
It's a powerful reminder that we have the ability to shape our physical structure,
totally.
not just through formal exercise, but through the countless choices that we make every single day.
So as you go about your day, pay attention to how you move, how you sit, how you stand.
Mm-hmm.
Make those small adjustments. Embrace those mini workouts. And see how it feels to move through the world with greater awareness and intention.
Yes, and remember, your body is your home. Treat it with care, and it will reward you with a lifetime of strength and resilience and vitality.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It really has.
And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired to take a walk.
Me too.
Maybe even try a few squats while I'm at it.
I love it.
So we'll be back soon with another fascinating deep dive.
Sounds great.
Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep moving.
Yeah, it really is remarkable how much control we actually have
Right.
over our own well-being when we start to understand these connections.
Yeah, it's empowering, isn't it?
It is.
And what I really like about Josefina's approach
Yes.
is that it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. It's about meeting yourself where you are
Yep.
and just making these small, sustainable changes
Right.
that can add up over time.
So let's say someone's listening to this and they're thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but I'm not ready to like ditch my comfy shoes or overhaul my entire workspace.
Right.
What are some baby steps that people can take today to start incorporating these principles?
Well, one of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do is to just become more aware of your breathing.
Okay.
So throughout the day, just take a few moments to check in with your breath.
Okay.
Are you breathing shallowly up in your chest, or are you breathing more deeply using your diaphragm, expanding your rib cage?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Mm.
I know I often catch myself holding my breath or taking really shallow breaths when I'm stressed or really focused on work.
Yeah, it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
But by just becoming more aware of it, we can start to consciously shift
Okay.
into a deeper, more relaxed breathing pattern.
Right.
And that can have a ripple effect on our posture, our stress levels, our energy.
It's almost like a mini meditation.
Exactly.
You can do anytime, anywhere.
Exactly. Another easy tip is to set reminders to get up and move regularly.
Okay.
Even just standing up and stretching for a few minutes every hour can make a big difference.
Okay.
And while you're up, try incorporating some of those mini movements we were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, squats, lunges, hip circles, just anything to get your body moving in different ways.
All right. Like sneaking in a little workout without even realizing it.
Exactly.
Okay. And speaking of sneaky workouts,
Yes.
let's talk about the commute.
Okay.
Can you turn that time into an opportunity to improve your posture and your alignment?
Absolutely. So if you're driving, pay attention to how you're sitting.
Okay.
Are you slumped down with your shoulders rounded forward, or are you sitting upright with your spine lengthened, your core engaged?
Right.
Even just making that small adjustment can make a big difference over time.
And if you're walking or taking public transportation, what can you do?
You know, be mindful of your posture as you're standing there waiting for the bus or the train. Stand tall, engage your core, try to avoid looking down at your phone all the time.
Right.
It's about being present in your body
Yeah.
and moving through the world with intention.
Okay.
And if you're feeling really ambitious, you could even try incorporating some walking lunges or calf raises into your walk.
Okay.
Just make sure you're mindful of your surroundings and not trip over anything.
Yeah, safety first.
Yes.
But I love that idea of turning those everyday activities into opportunities to move our bodies in different ways.
It's like a little secret workout that nobody even knows you're doing.
Exactly. And it all adds up over time.
It all adds up.
You know, those small changes consistently applied can lead to big results.
Absolutely.
Well, this deep dive has been an amazing exploration of how our bodies are shaped by our modern lives.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's shown us that we have the power to reshape our bodies, to reclaim our natural alignment, and to move through the world with greater strength, resilience, and ease.
It's about becoming active participants in our own health and well-being, and that's a really empowering message.
Totally. So we hope this deep dive has inspired you to take a closer look at your own posture,
Yeah.
your own habits, your own relationship with your body. And remember, your body is your home.
Yes.
Treat it with care, and it will reward you with a lifetime of vitality and well-being.
It's a journey, not a destination. Enjoy the process of exploring, experimenting, discovering what works best for you. And
Exactly.
remember, we're all in this together.
Awesome. Well, we'll be back soon with another fascinating deep dive.
Sounds great.
Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep moving.
And most importantly, keep believing in the incredible power of your own body to heal, adapt, and thrive.
Thanks for joining us.